of childbearing age to use healthcare services. 11,000 babies are born in the U.S. each day, making childbirth the most common reason for hospital admission. Given that birth outcomes have lifetime effects, good prenatal care affects the nation's future health and healthcare needs. Therefore, prenatal care isn't just a nice thing to have, our nation's health depends on it. So I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Christine Laurent. I'm an assistant professor of nursing, and the course that I'll be referring to is NUR 415, Maternal Newborn Nursing. And 3 years ago, we incorporated service learning into our course, and it's been a wonderful journey. I am here to share with you all an exciting service learning project that we undertook last semester, and it's actually been extended into this semester. And I have with me 3 of the 10 students that began this project with us last semester. One, Nikki, couldn't be with us today, but I'd like the rest to introduce themselves.
I'm Kylie. I'm a senior nursing student.
I'm Danielle, and I'm also a senior nursing student.
I'm Christine, and I'm a senior nursing student.
So there you go. Now, there were 10, like I said, that started off this project, and 6, I think it was 6, graduated. So they're on their way. I wanted to prepare you for this next slide. It's a video that aired as a human interest story some 2 years ago, and it made the national news. I like it personally for 2 reasons. The first is that it just warms my heart. And the other reason is that I think it's a very nice analogy for what we're trying to accomplish in NUR 415. And so I'll let the video speak for itself.
It looks ordinary enough, a mother duck nesting on a ledge in downtown Spokane, Washington, and a banker watching from his second-floor window. But when the ducks hatched and the mother needed to get her ducklings to fresh water, one big problem became obvious. The dozen-day-old ducks couldn't follow. They were stuck on the ledge, nervously pacing back and forth. Enter the banker, Joel Armstrong, down on the sidewalk to help when suddenly the first 2 dropped like stones. A center fielder couldn't have done better.
Come on, with your mommy. There you go.
He kept up the chatter with Mom, who was waiting at his ankles, as a crowd started to build.
That's great. He's a good catcher.
One at a time with a steady hand and keen eye. This mild-mannered loan officer talked an entire family of baby ducks off a ledge.
I think Joel's legacy is playing out right here.
What is that?
The Duck Man.
Well, we've got 8 of 12 have jumped off finally today. It's been a long day. I've been here since 5:45 a.m.
A citywide parade was scheduled to pass by in just a few hours. Crowds started to build, but once he got the last 3 down by ladder, the drama wasn't over.
Is that it? Hold the ladder.
Together, the banker and the mother duck led the babies to water, straight down the middle of a downtown parade route, through the streets, around crowd barriers, and finally, home, the river. Who says a banker's life isn't exciting? Neil Karlinski, ABC News, Seattle.
Pretty terrific. And if you can't get enough of those ducklings, we have the video, all of it, at our website, abcnews.com.
Well, my point is that the banker recognized that the mama duck needed help, and she was not equipped to give her babies the best possible start all alone. And so that's how we see the teen moms of our area, and they just need a little hand, and so we're here to help them in whatever way we can do that.
Okay. We started out with our course objectives, and one aspect to the Nursing 415 course is service learning. We wanted to identify the most vulnerable groups in the maternal newborn population and plan ways to best serve their needs, and we felt that this included pregnant teens as well. We wanted to develop a sense of civic, social, nursing responsibility for the maternal and newborn population in our community. By providing this service, we are accomplishing that. We also wanted to develop a sense of collaborative and multidisciplinary care for this population with our community partners. Through our service learning, we were able to live out the mission, vision, and values of Marian through community learning, service, and social justice.
So with our identified population, we had to identify risks that this population had, and some of those risks are the normal developmental process of adolescents are negatively impacted by pregnancy. This deviation from the normal development requires a special type of physical and psychosocial adaptation to the pregnancy to be made. Often there is a delay in seeking health care due to denial or limited access, increasing risks for maternal and fetal injury. Poor nutrition habits of these adolescents increase the mom and baby's risk for injury. Body image changes, social isolation, and family processes may lead to emotional issues and difficulty bonding with the baby. Teens are at higher risk for knowledge deficits related to the parenting role. And by identifying these risks, we were able to kind of create the program and create the text to try to eliminate these risks.
So like we said, risk factors for adolescent pregnancies include teens are much less likely than older women to receive adequate prenatal care, with many receiving no care at all. Teens are more likely to smoke, and they are less likely to gain adequate weight or have good nutrition.
The outcomes we identified are adolescents are at higher risk for complications of pregnancy, such as high blood pressure. They are at risk for impaired parenting due to their immaturity. Babies of teen moms are at an increased risk for abuse and neglect. And babies are also at increased risk for low birth weight, serious and long-term disability, and dying during the first year of life.
A few statistics we've found is that the U.S. has the highest rate of adolescent births in the industrialized world. Approximately 450,000 babies are born to teen moms each year. In 2008, in the Fond du Lac community, 1,164 babies were born. 81 of these babies were to teen moms.
So we began a partnership with New Beginnings as the director, Kelly Russ, contacted Chris and shared her desire to have a program like ours. And just some background on New Beginnings. They are located just down the street on Division Street, pretty much right across from St. Agnes Hospital. It's a little kitty corner and it's in a house. And they are a nonprofit, they're Christ-centered, and their mission is to provide a nurturing environment for pregnant women in crisis situations. New Beginnings Pregnancy Care Center is a non-denominational organization that believes in the sanctity of human life. The core values of New Beginnings are value and dignity of all people, serve one another in love without reservation, and welcome people regardless of spiritual traditions.
So that's a little background on New Beginnings. Now I'm going to tell you how this program actually came to be. Every semester, we invite our community partners to come in the very first day, and they give sort of an overview of what I like to call their wish list. And Kelly Russ came to us last semester and offered that she heard of a program sponsored through the CDC that had text messages that went out to the general, pregnant population. And so she said it would be nice if we could offer the teens that she deals with something specific to meet their needs. And so that's how that came about.
About the first week of school, 10 of us expressed our interest in this program. We had to pick something to do for 8 hours. And so many of us who are busy thought that this would be perfect because you'd be able to do it on your own time, sit behind your computer, and do the things that you need to do. So we organized ourselves and took for all 40 weeks of pregnancy and split them into chunks. From these chunks, we did all of our research, we read in our book, we compiled the text messages, and then put them all in one big document. And we met periodically just to share what we had found, what websites we liked, and which which facts that we felt were the most imperative for mothers to know. As we got everything compiled, we had an aha moment. I think the three of us kind of went, oh my goodness, we could make this our own. It's not just a Text for Baby program, which had been outlined by the CDC. We could make this as something that comes from the baby, as if the baby is talking to the mother. And so that's where we decided to go ahead, look at all the text messages that we wrote, and focus more, saying, hi mom, this is what I'm doing, or, you know, don't forget to do this for me, and really make it as if the baby is talking to them. Right away then, after we had compiled that, we talked to a bunch of people, and through various individuals in the community, everyone just thought it would be an amazing program, and it took off. Right then and there, we thought we were just going to hand it over to New Beginnings, and we found out that there was a need, and it just multiplied. We have multiple people after us to get this started. So that's where we ended up now.
Didn't you share this with your class? Chris is in her PhD program, and it's online, the class was, and she was discussing with people from all around the country, and as she was sharing with them what we were doing, they expressed an interest, and we're just kind of like, this is really cool, and then that's kind of also where we decided that this is a lot bigger than we ever thought that it was going to be, so we needed to take it to the next level. And how we kind of went about after we came up with the texts for the 40 weeks, the three of us primarily went through the texts and reformulated them, made sure that it was as if it was coming from the baby, made sure that they were 160 characters, since that's the length of a text message that you could send.
Which is very difficult.
Challenging.
Yep, and made sure that our texts were meeting the goal of providing these young women with the education that they may not otherwise get if it weren't for us, and also promote bonding between the fetus and the mom. So we just kind of get the idea in their heads that it's not just about you anymore. You're going to have to grow up, and you are responsible for this child, and this child is going to be here. And so I guess that's...
That was a critical piece, I think, because once we realized that, you know, these teen moms, if they'd like, they can go to any book, they can go to numerous websites, but what they really couldn't get is a sense of the baby being, you know, separate from themselves, and start bonding and making a relationship with that baby from the very beginning, from before the beginning, from in utero. And so that's what I think that our program can provide, and I think that's an important thing.
And a lot of times, I mean, you remember when you were 16, 17, you weren't thinking about becoming a mom. You were worried about your driver's license and your car. You know, now you've taken on this whole other role.
So we also need to mention that we haven't, this is really all too new, and so we haven't had a chance to really evaluate it. The outcomes evaluation part will be coming. And to that end, we have developed a tool, so we're going to provide that to Kelly Russ so that she can give it to the moms that use this program through New Beginnings, and see how we can improve it. We wanted to explain a little bit about the process, though, because I almost laugh when Kylie says, oh, we only had 8 hours to give, and we thought this would be easy. We'd sit behind our computer, and I don't think she had any idea how much time there was going to be involved. But I'll let Kylie and Danielle kind of go over what that process was like.
First off, we had to get every text message that we received, we had to get it in under 160 characters. And you want to be giving all this information because you know it's important, but to make it understandable, you know, fast and quick, it was too hard. So more text message developed out of that, and then that's when we went ahead. After we got everything under 160, we then had the aha moment and went, oh, let's make it from the baby. So then we had to go back and reformulate them all again. And then we realized, well, if we're going to be putting this information out there, we have to figure out, are we going to infringe on someone's copyright? Are we going to get in trouble with different corporations that are putting this out? So you talked to 2 different lawyers, and we wanted to know, like, if there was a copyright on this idea. And you can't copyright an idea but you can copyright the information. So that's what we went ahead and did. We copyrighted everything that we wrote, and now we have this document that is not New Beginnings, but we're using it as well.
And who holds copyright?
And Marian University holds the copyright. We personally do not hold that. We put that to the university because we want it to be a nonprofit organization that in the future can be carried over by the Marian students that follow behind us.
So our hope is for it to be self-sustaining in that the NUR 415 class will generate new text messages. We also, that's another, I keep thinking of our future plans. I'm so excited about those.
Yeah.
Well, we'll give you an example now of the different text messages that were created. And there were anywhere from 2 to maybe 7 per week of the pregnancy.
Some were even 10, 11.
Even more than 7.
Yeah.
But in time, we hope that there will be 1 per day.
That's our goal.
And that's coming up too. But we wanted to give you an example of several of our text messages. So, week 10.
If you saw me right now, you'd think you were having a baby genius. My head is half the size of my entire body length.
Week 23.
If I move a lot and keep you up at night, I'm sorry. I'm just so busy figuring out my body and becoming a little person.
Week 26.
I can hear. Play music for me. I will dance for you.
And week 37.
My grasp is firm now, and I turn toward the light. I can't wait to see you and hold your hand.
So our future plans, finally, as previously noted, we want to expand the number of texts that we have. We want to definitely have 7 per week, so 1 for each day. Eventually, pretty much as much information as we can get out to these people, we want to have text for. We also have decided that it would be awesome for us, for the teen mothers that their boyfriend, possibly even husband at that time, or significant other, could be involved in this process, that we could have text directed towards the dad. And we already know through our class and through some people's life experience that dads have a harder time bodied with the baby because they're not actually carrying it. So normally dads don't bond with the baby until after it's already born. So we want to kind of jumpstart that process and get the dad involved in this project as well. We also, after talking to Kelly, have learned, or just she pointed out to us, that not all of these teen mothers keep their babies. Some of them give them up for adoption. So we don't necessarily, for those women, want to promote bonding in the sense that it's going to make it harder for them to give up this baby. Even though it may be the best choice, we don't want to make it harder than it already is. So we have to reformulate the text to more like the CDC originally, where it's just information. It's not formulated as if it's coming from the baby. We also would like to have text for after delivery. I don't have a kid, but I would assume that it gets even harder after you have, especially your first baby. And yes, you were reading all those pregnancy books, but how many books did you read? How much information was there in there? And you're not, on a day-to-day basis, you're flustered, you're overwhelmed, you're sleep deprived. Just have this little reminder of things that you could do for yourself or do for your baby, we think would be just awesome. We also think that it would be cool to have an option for people to receive their texts in Spanish. We understand that the Hispanic population is growing, and that their young women, their adolescents, are at an increased risk for pregnancy. So hopefully, we don't know. We come up with new ideas every day. The Spanish one just came out today.
5 minutes before we came in here.
Yeah, it's growing fast. It's ever changing. It's awesome.
And Kelly keeps the girls at the house once they've had the baby. They come into the house while they're pregnant, and then they'll deliver the baby, and she keeps them 3 months after to try to get them on their feet and get in a routine. And so we thought for the first stage of the aftermath of the text messages into the more caring for the baby, we wanted to do just the first 3 months. And then as we keep growing and progressing, we'd like to do the 3 to 12 months and possibly even more after that. We have to see where it takes us. All right. We went ahead, and I knew that we'd have to market this in some way, shape, or form, and we knew this need was out there. You had doctors talking to you. I had people like pregnant friends talking to me, and
We just had a sister yesterday when we were presenting for public health. We did this project, and her sister is does prenatal massage, and so she ran off with a copy of her text, and she's like, I need to give this to my sister, like this would be awesome for her clients. So a lot of people in the healthcare world dealing anything with pregnancy are very interested in this.
Mm-hmm. So we went ahead and we created the website, and we wanted to get the word out to schools, different programs like Kelly Russ does. It doesn't just have to stay in the Fond du Lac community. I know that our project is being brought down to Florida at a conference, and so who knows who's going to want to access this down there. That's just another one of the things that has rippled out of our work. We do know that there's a few nurse midwives that are interested in it, and we can also give it to public health departments. They know all those statistics. They're in contact with these individuals, and even WIC programs in the area could use it. So then we went and did all the research into sending these text messages, and we got the website up. Then I was like, well, how are we going to get these out there? So I researched into different text messaging services, and what I originally wanted was a website. You can put your name, put the weeks that you're at, and then it just shoots, put your phone number in there and it just shoots them all off to you. Well, in a perfect world, that would be great, but we're limited by our funds. So I found a site that you can put the phone number in, save it for a date, and it'll send it off to that person. So that individual receiving the texts are going to be charged for those text messages, but we as a group will not be. What we decided to do is, so that we could raise the money to get to where we need to be, is to develop an app for the iPhone, the Droid, the iPad, what have you. And so we're in the process of trying to figure out that, and then we take the money from selling these apps to put back into the website to get it to where we need it to be, and continually expand with the whole entire program. You can try.
Well, first I wanted to ask if anybody had any questions. And you might be wondering about this whole text idea, but you know this population, the age, teenagers, they're all about the text messages. I was sharing with everybody that I have a daughter who's 15 who actually does about 10,000 text messages a month. It's crazy, I know. But that is just an example of how, attached they are to their text messages. So, Kelly Russ from New Beginnings, she shared with us that these moms across the board come to New Beginnings without a lot of things, but it seems pretty much always they have their cell phone. So they're very connected to that. So that's why.
Well, even when we were there, the one girl had it right on her tummy.
Yeah.
It was just sitting there.
So any questions before I go on? I'm going to try and find the website I was set up. No. Okay, so. Well, this is the website that Kylie set up. Whispers to Mom is the name of it. And Kylie, how about you explain how you get to this, and if it's linked to Marian in any way?
It is not linked to Marian in any way right now. That's one of the future things that we'd like to get going, is to have it on the homepage or even the nursing homepage, so they can click to the link and get there. Right now, it's just, I know that I have to register the website through different search engines, so I'll be doing that so that people can just type it in and search it. But that was another thing, we're constantly learning about all this stuff because who would even have to register it? I thought Google just found everything, but apparently not.
It's been a real learning experience.
Yes. So we have to do that, and then the website is whisperstomom.webs.com. And that's how you get to it, and it's right there, and you can start signing up for the program. There's one, yesterday I was fussing with it, and it got rid of the phone number portion, which is pretty much how we function this. And so I have to call their support center and try to get that put back on there. But that'll be done tomorrow, so. And the baby on there is actually the baby that in my rotation for clinical is the one that I helped out with the entire time. I got her permission to put his picture up there.
Now, any questions? No. All right.
Oh,
How much is it going to cost for the moms to receive the text messages?
it will cost whatever your provider charges you.
That's determined by her plan.
It's not we're not charging them. The only time we would charge them is for the application because we'll receive that money to fund whatever we need to.
So if they get unlimited text messages, they'll get them for free through
Yep.
the website?
Yes.
I'm not from Fond du Lac, but I have a lot of friends back home that are pregnant. Could they go, it's a different area code, could they go onto this website?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep, it's just a standard website. I don't even know how I found it, just out of sheer luck. And okay, go ahead.
I said I'm not from the Fond du Lac area, and a lot of my friends back home are pregnant right now. And I was just wondering if they could get onto this website and use it too.
Absolutely, anyone can access it. Here.
I'm just wondering, because I am not a teen mom, but obviously I'm pregnant with my second, I just think that this would be such a neat idea to market beyond teen moms, because, I mean, you know, I'm on all the websites and I get emails weekly about that, but I think it would be cool, because even at certain points with my second child, and you still kind of feel detached at certain points. So are you planning on maybe expanding this beyond teen?
It started with the adolescent in mind, but really it's transformed into anyone. We did have some text messages that were about couples together and whatnot, but we took those out because we didn't feel that those would necessarily relate to these girls. But I mean, we could put them back in the future. All of it is information any mother could use. I mean, you can always use a refresher. Who knows how long it's been between this child and that child, and things change. I mean, as you guys all know, with evidence-based practice, it always changes.
That's a good point. It's all really good information, and I think that we scaled it down to meet the teens where they were by providing them what they needed to know. But I think it's information that anybody could benefit from. And the thing is that, like Kylie said, because this is a Christ-centered organization we were dealing with, our partner in New Beginnings, that we were very careful not to have any information necessarily about sex or about relationships, because for the most part, these teens aren't in long-term relationships.
I didn't know. Yeah. Oh, and when she was talking about the adoption, they've had 30 girls go through their center in the last 5 years, and 2 have given up their children. So a lot of them do end up holding on to their babies.
Oh yeah, the vast majority, which mirrors the population as a whole.
Oh.
My question to you is, was this really what you anticipated when you entered your maternity nursing course?
Absolutely not. I chose this project because I would be able to sit behind my computer in my bed and do my research. Now, I think this consumes at least 3 hours of my day every day, at least this past week. But it's something that after I had my birthing experience with an actual teen mom, I got so involved in it and so passionate about it because I saw how much she wanted to learn. I really did. She was asking me questions. Her and her boyfriend were just grilling me and just loved the attention and the knowledge that came from me and Chris when she would come in, and they just loved sucking my brain with all that information. And so I knew that this is something that was really needed.
Well, I want to commend you for not doing what a lot of nurses do in those areas, and that's put up a wall between the nurse and the adolescent mother, making them actually feel like they aren't intelligent enough to do this. So has this broadened your idea beyond what a bedside nurse could just do?
Oh goodness, yeah. I mean, I'll admit when you had given me my assignment, I even talked to you about this at clinical. Do you remember this? That I said, okay. I thought, okay, I'm going into this room. She's 19. She didn't seek care until 7 months pregnant. How do you not? She said she didn't know she was pregnant. I'm like, how do you not know you're pregnant? And so I had that mentality in my mind, and the minute I walked in there, I knew I had to put that out of my brain. I mean, you're taught in school to keep that away, so I did, and within an hour of meeting her, I knew she was going to be okay. She didn't go under an epidural. She did it all naturally. She was amazing. She let me be in the room with everything. I actually stood there and looked at her, and I coached her through the entire labor. The nurse that was with me just let me go. She let me do it, and out came the baby. It was unbelievable.
Just like that.
Yeah, it was just that easy. It took that long too.
I think it would be cool for not just nursing in different areas in nursing to use this type of model, but for any profession to think of this new age and how big technology is with everything. And I mean, I think that we're starting to get to that point, but at least for us, this is a nice jumping off point to just keep going and expand it wherever we can.
I mean, I know she's told me multiple times, you can stop, you've done everything you need to do, and I never listened.
I hope every birth you ever witness is as good as that one was.
Me too,
for you. I'm wondering, I guess as an educator, I've been very concerned about fetal alcohol syndrome and the impact that has on not only the individual, but the family and society, and I see it in schools just I mean, not that you can always know it is, but I just, in some cases, I'm wondering, does this kind of thing, do they have, information like that you're giving that says, that they, for the women, that they know, what I'm asking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had a number of texts in the very beginning, and I think throughout.
Yeah, there's a lot about gestational diabetes as well, and to make sure you're getting to your doctor and checking that out.
And we were very clear on the fact that the earlier in the pregnancy that you do use alcohol, drugs, different things, the more devastating the effects can be on the baby. So that's one point we tried to drive home. Unfortunately, when the teens recognize and embrace their pregnancy, if they ever do, that it's usually so advanced that, by then if they have been using drugs, if they have been drinking, then unfortunately a lot of the damage has already been done.
But even too, when we talk about symptoms to watch for, we were very careful on the fact that we made sure to tell them to go talk to your doctor. Don't just assume, oh, this is what I'm having,
Right.
We don't necessarily know everything. We can't explain what you're feeling, but if this is something you're noticing, call them, notify them.
That was another one of the very challenging things about putting these text messages together, because we had to be very succinct in the 160 characters, but we wanted to give accurate information. We wanted to be very clear about the information we were giving, because teens are notorious for going other places to get what they need and what they think they need, and what they know they form from TV and talking to friends and what have you. So this was our opportunity to really clarify the really important things.
those misconceptions that they may have from their parents or their grandparents or whatever, what have you.
Hi, I was wondering if you thought about text messages for like pregnancy complications with Down syndrome or...
That's another realm that we would like to expand it. Like we said, we had no idea this would have this ripple effect. We're constantly coming up, like even today, we came up with another idea. We're constantly worrying about that. There are some, I think there is one text message that talks about testing of the amniotic fluid. Possibly.
We're careful to give signs and symptoms of complications because that's really what they needed to know. And from there, they needed to see their doctor because we weren't in a place where we could give them advice at all. But we are in a place where we can educate them and give them what they need to know and then take that information to their doctor and really get to the bottom of what they're feeling, what they're seeing, what they're noticing.
Because even you have to stay in your scope of practice as well. You can't diagnose that. The doctor goes in and talks to them about their diagnoses. You help them through it, and you teach them about it, but not until it's been diagnosed.
I think really that was the goal. We really and truly wanted to educate with this, and I think we have. Another thing I wanted to throw out there while you were talking was, we're open to suggestions. All these suggestions are great ones. So if you do think of something, email one of us or
There's
give us
even,
a call.
well, we have the email address now. We have the website, and we also have an email address through Marian University. It's just whisperstomom@marianuniversity.edu, and you can send anything there.
You guys put so much time and so much energy into this, and I can tell that you really love it. So is it going to be something that you can go in May? Or are you guys going to carry this on, because I personally don't see you letting it go, and I see you carrying on with Marian, but you are so, developed in it that I don't think that you could even let it go.
I'm getting made fun of up here, but like she said, I don't know if I'll be able to.
It's awesome. I think it's awesome.
Because it's just become something that I've started from the beginning, and I was telling them, each time I look at the text messages, I still want to do something more to them because I'm not happy with them yet. And there's nothing wrong with them. They're perfect, but I don't see it as that, So I'm still continuously trying to work on it and make it better and better and better.
This is something you guys went into for 8 hours just to put towards the class. And this is the next semester and you're going to graduate. And it'd be great if you guys could keep it within Marian and attach it to Marian, but I don't think that you can let it go at this point because you put so much of yourself into it, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope to. I'll be honest. I hope to.
That's our hope. Our hope is that this becomes a self-sustaining entity, and maybe from one semester to the next, we can pass the baton to the next group of students, and they can oversee the website and oversee the text messages and add to all these different areas, that we have in mind for the future. And I think that's a real possibility. And I'll put a little plug out there for service learning. Dr. Ketterhagen will like this. But, one of the outcomes of service learning is civic engagement and social responsibility. And if we've planted the seed, which I think clearly the seed has been planted in Kylie, I think it's fair to say it'll be there forever. And if Kylie wants to come back and help supervise, this website or help, future students, I say, yeah, please do.
I feel like we'll always have a part in it, and it'll always be sort of my little baby, in a way, But I really do hope, if we can get it to pull off and keep going the student run, perfect. Then I'm glad to just watch it grow. But who knows what the future brings, and we'll do what we need to keep it going.
Not a question, just a congratulations for all the work that you have done. And I think that what I'd like to also reiterate to all students is that sometimes it only takes a slight idea, a little candle of light, and if you're passionate, you too can do something this huge. And you don't realize it when the little light comes on or the little passion begins, but that as faculty is what we're trying to impart to you, is the fact that all of us can get out there and help people if we get engaged.
I mean, yeah, the passion came from me just loving babies. Anyone who knows me very well knows I squeal when I see one. But I see a few nodding heads up there.
I'd just like to make a couple of comments about the great work you're doing. Two points in particular. I really applaud your connection with the social justice aspects of service learning. The young women really don't have much access to a lot of very, very important information. And they come from situations that are oftentimes challenging and difficult. And I applaud you doing that because you have begun to use social media to change social structures. And that's, from my perspective, changing those social structures is really what justice is about, to make things accessible that have to be accessible. Then the second point that's really important to me as a theologian is you're honoring the reality of the child within the womb. And that's Catholic social teaching. I mean, that's Catholic teaching. As soon as the sperm and the egg get together and form the zygote, you have a human being there, or the potential. And thank you for that.
I can't jump I just want to say, like, you can fill me in with the Spanish if you would like. But I have been hearing that also on Facebook they have like information about how your baby's doing each week, and I think I don't have any kids either, but that would be nice, like how you said text, getting once in a while. So
yeah, I mean, there's texts in there where, oh, I have hair today. You know, it just little developmental things. You know, I can bat my eyelashes and just kind of neat little things like that.
That's a great idea. There are other forms of social media.
Yeah.
Kylie has looked into Facebook.
Yep. I've been trying to come up with a fan page or whatever thing you can do, and I'm striking out with getting it up. So.
Because that would be another thing where, like, a status update.
Yeah, you had mentioned that though too, to do that. And Chris is just listening to us when we brainstorm. Sometimes she's like, I don't know.
I'd like to thank and add my congratulations to them on their project and the wonderful presentations they just did. I would like to remind you of filling out the evaluation form. We greatly appreciate it. You can leave it on the table, or you can give it to, I'll probably leave it on the table, and we'll pick it up. And I also like to remind you and invite you for one more session at 6:30 tonight. It's our keynote address by Jeffrey Howard, and it's on healthcare reform and its impact. Then over here.